Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins 0. In the last episode, Suzuha Mayuri's position wasn't looking too favourable. But then help came in the most unexpected form. In the form of Kagari, who essentially proceeded to, no mincing words here, completely butcher the entire group of Stratfor soldiers just because Mayuri herself was injured in the crossfire. Of course, needless to say, in spite of her abilities, Kagari is still human and has suffered severe wounds of her own. Meanwhile, Rintaro has been racing against time and fate to try and reach them on the roof of the radio building, only to run into the one person that he didn't want to see above all others at this point. Professor Alexis Leskinen of Victor University. And a man aligned with Strategic Focus. If you've been following me up until this point, adventurers, are you really surprised the fact that he is against us in this battle? Oh, I see. You're all supposed to be shocked. Alright. Gasp! There we go. That's as much as I can muster at this point. And I would say we didn't expect to see you here at all, but I'd be lying about that. Leskinen seemed perturbed when he saw my face. Yeah. Really should have exercised when you had the chance, Rintaro. Thing is, we know exactly why he's here.
少し落ち着きなさい。そんなに息が切れていたのでは話もできないよ。
Still as collected as ever, I see Leskinen.
どうしてここにいるんです？アマデウスはどうなったんです？
We already know the answers to these questions, yet they still need to be asked.
君に頼んだサンプリングテストは半年前に終わっている。
In other words, Rintaro, your entire time as a tester was for a completely different end.
話すことはできないな。
It's, yeah, goes without saying that it wasn't just for the sake of developing conversation with Amadeus Kurusu that you were specifically selected. That was his answer. Even though Amadeus had disappeared, Leskinen was extremely calm. That's because he was the one that took it in the first place. There was no sign of him trying to deal with the problem. And instead of being in his office, he was here. That was all I needed to know.
クリスが俺に送ってきたメッセージの内容は本当だったんですね。
A final warning, as it were. The father that she'd spoken of was Leskinen after all.
クリスや魔法どうしたんです？ 彼女たちの記憶データを解析してタイムマシンに関するデータを取り出すつもりなんでしょう。
You've hit the nail on the head there.
驚いたな。クリスはそこまで君に話してしまったのか。監視していたつもりだったが、いつの間にそんな真似を。
Seems like you we're not entirely aware of her at-channel capabilities either. Indeed, you were completely in the dark, as was Maho. Leskinen seemed truly shocked. But this was to our advantage, which meant that he hadn't noticed that Kurisu was an ad-channeler, or that she'd spoken to me there. In other words, she had a back door. Not that it helps us in this situation. And then, Leskinen took out a gun and pointed it at me. Yeah.
君は少し踏み込みすぎたようだ。
You'd be surprised at how much we've learned over the course of these events, Alexis Leskinen. Getting your name tied up there.
あなたは何者なんだ?
Well, we already know who he is, but on this world line it looks like we're going to, for courtesy's sake, have to listen to him explain himself all over
科
again.
学者だよ。だが、科学者も実践授業ではないのでね。君はStategic Focus 社というアメリカの民間情報機関を知っているかな?
Indeed we are, because we've heard this explanation before on a completely different world line.
ストラテジックフォーカス社、アメリカの。
In other words, Stratfor.
ストラトフォーカ。
The very same. I'd read about them on a conspiracy theory website. I remembered reading that they'd acquired top secret information on Russian ballistic missiles that even the CIA couldn't get, and then sold it. The result was the destruction of the CIA's reputation, and at the same time, the total reorganization of Russia's military strategy. I'd even heard rumors that during the Gulf and Iraq wars, they had obtained information about the warring countries faster than anyone, and spread it as needed.
世界から影の CIA などと呼ばれているのが私たちだよ。
Supposedly indeed. So he was going to use Amadeus for military purposes? Well, considering what we experienced on the world line from before, that is certainly the case. Was everything he'd said at that seminar just platitudes and lies? Most certainly, to butter you up. Something tells me that he was, he's been interested in Rintaro's connection to Kurisu since before then as well.
私のことはどうでもいいだろう。それよりリンタロウ、勝美から聞いたのだが、君も例の新型脳炎を発症しているそうだね。
Of course, you would have figured out by now, Leskinen, that it is not encephalitis at all. But at this point we haven't explained to him about the ability known as reading Steiner. But he knows about it now.
それどころか、新型脳炎そのもののメカニズムについて何か知っているらしいじゃないか。
Hindsight is 50-50 on that one. We know parts of how it operates, but as to how it works, we still don't
実に
know.
興味深い。君の持つその情報をぜひ提供してくれないか。
Considering the situation that we're currently in right now, probably not.
何？簡単な施術を受けてくれるだけでいいんだ。
You mean the same procedure as your vaunted test
そう
subjects?
すれば、私は君を助手として迎え入れてもいい。
Tempting, Leskinen, but no dice. You've already played your hand. For some reason, my whole body broke out in goosebumps at the words procedure. The Dr. Leskinen I knew The man with the childlike, mysterious heart and deep scientific curiosity, the man who was so kind to me, the man I'd respected, was gone. No, Rintaro, he is not gone. That is only one aspect of Leskinen's personality. He is still that person, but then again, he is still the very person that we see before us now. In his place was this cruel scientific fundamentalist, who thought of nothing of human lives or hearts as he pointed a gun at me. They are the same person, two aspects of the same individual, Rintaro Okabe. Or was this who he truly was? I would say both aspects are, Rintaro. Is it really so much of a surprise for a kind man to be cruel, or even vice versa, for that matter? Suddenly he seemed like a terrifying unknown.
どうかな?
But not to me, at least. He took a step towards me, and then... another fierce gunfight broke out above. Leskinen clicked his tongue at the sound. He glanced towards the stairs.
なぜ銃撃戦になっているんだ? 穏便に済ませるとあれほど!
Yeah, too late for that. And speaking of windows of opportunity, I took advantage of the distraction. Luckily I was still on the staircase. I tackled his legs as hard as I could and he lost his balance and fell. He hit his head hard on one of the steps and after a moment's jerk stopped moving at all. Looks like he's down for the count. He might be dead, but I didn't care anymore. I've become a murderer many times over already. Indeed. When I opened the door, what I saw was a vision from the heart of hell itself. There was blood everywhere, and bodies too.
なんだこれ
A terrifying maelstrom known to one and all as Kagari Sheena. In the middle of the sea of blood was a girl in a motorcycle suit and helmet, covered in crimson as she lay on the ground. She held a giant cleaver. I could see instantly that she was responsible for this disaster. Her shoulders moved up and down a little, so evidently she was still alive, although I believe her wounds are serious indeed. I approached the woman, trying my best not to throw up from the stench.
大丈夫ママ
Seems that Kagari has finally retained some control over her senses. I could hear her voice from beneath the cracked, broken helmet. I looked closer and saw that some of the blood was her own. Her body was racked by bullet wounds and her left hand was completely gone. It was a miracle that she had somehow survived all that. She didn't seem to notice me as she crawled slowly through the blood. I followed her gaze and saw Mayuri huddled beneath the time machine. Suzaha seemed to be unhurt, but there was blood on Mayuri's face.
Mayuri!
I hadn't expected to see her here, and I was worried about her wound, but more than anything I was glad she was safe. She raised her face when she heard my voice, but the next moment her eyes locked onto the girl in the motorcycle suit. She saw the thing crawling towards her and screamed.
ママ違うのこれはだってかがりは本当は人殺しなんてするつもりじゃなくってただママを守ろうとして
The that's right. On this world line, Mayuri only learned from Suzuha recently that she had adopted Kagari Shina from the future, but she never actually met her here in the present after she was left behind in the year 1998. Kagari. Did she say Kagari? It was only then that I realized that the girl in the motorcycle suit was the Kagari Shina that Suzuha had been looking for.
ごめんなさいママ。カガリ、もういい。
Suzuha yelled, unable to take any more. Seems like she's still wary of her.
もういいから動くな。死ぬぞお前。カガリはね、ママに怖い思いをさせようなんて思ってなかったんだよ。本当だよ。カガリはただママを助けなくちゃって。だからママお願い。カガリを嫌いにならないで。お願い。
This is truly a tragic turn of events.
ごめんなさい。許して。
At last her strength failed, and she collapsed. I returned to my senses and ran to her before Suzuha could get there.
おい大丈夫か。
That is a bit of a moot question there. Her breathing was wheezy and shallow. One of the bullets had probably pierced her lungs. I thought taking off her helmet would help her breathe, so I put my hand on to remove it, but she grabbed my hand and pushed it away.
やめて。取らないで。ママと鈴葉お姉ちゃんの前では。お願い。岡部さん。
Yeah, she knows exactly who you are, Rintaro. Her voice and the way she talked. I realized who this girl called Kagari Shina was. I looked closer and swore I recognized her face.
そんな。君はなぜ。
オカリンおじさん、カガリは？
来るな。
I quickly motioned to Suzuha to keep her distance.
こっちは任せろ。お前はマユリを頼む。マユリの傷は大丈夫なのか。確認してくれ。
Fortunately, Mayuri is okay. She looked upset, but did as I asked. She went back to Mayuri and started to look at her wounds. Mayuri was covering her face and trying not to look at the bodies.
大丈夫。マユ姉さんの傷は深くない。
I relaxed a little when I heard that. Fortunately, just a scrape. Just a flesh wound.
よかった。ママ、無事だったんだ。よかった。
In the end, all Kagari ever wanted was the exact same thing that Rintaro wanted. For Mayuri to be alive and well. Kagari's voice was a whisper as I cradled her in my arms. And then she slowly closed her eyes. Her breathing got weaker.
しっかりしろ。君はなんで。
大丈夫。心配しないで。私、こうなっても痛くも苦しくもないから。
Another side effect of her conditioning from the future.
神様の声が聞こえるの。君は痛くならないよ。 苦しくならないよって。だから全然岡部さんには伝えておくね。
We're not going anywhere, Kagari.
本物は何も知らないです。
Wait a minute. The real one?
3年前からヨーロッパに留学中だから。
Wait, what are you talking about?
教授が私を秋葉原へ送り込むために裏で手を回して、本物は本当に何も知らない。
教授だって。
The professor. Did she mean? Of course
こ
she
の世
did.
界線では本当は来年なんですよ。橋田さんと本物が出会うのは。
Who is this real one that Kagari is referring to? Kagari opened her eyes a little once more and looked towards the time machine, toward Mayuri and Suzuha.
大丈夫。きっと本物も橋田さんのこと好きになります。私と同じように。
Wait.
言っちゃった。誰にも内緒ですよ。
And this time, her smile still shining in her eyes. They closed for real, with one final shudder. The strength left her body. And with that, Kagari Shina has left this world behind. But the real one and Daru Hashida, a 3-year exchange program and the professor manipulating things from behind the scenes. And that here, I noticed something was a little odd. Instead of her, instead of her usual crimson locks, her hair was a little lighter than usual. And I think I'm starting to put the pieces together. Her life faded away in my hands. There was so much I wanted to ask her. I think I can guess now who the real one is at this point, given her connection to Daru. And that explains a lot. Kind of, I suppose, but why had she appeared before us using that name, indeed? There were so many things I didn't understand. But Kagari Shina's life ended in that moment.
おかりおじさん、かがりは無事？
In the words of Dr. McCoy from Star Trek the original series, she's dead, Jim. And that's all there is to say on that. I came back to my senses when I heard her voice. If I told her about Kagari's death, it would cause her a lot of mental stress. That wasn't a good idea. Right now I needed to do something about the time machine as fast as possible.
大丈夫だ。この子は俺が病院へ連れて行く。
Lying through the skin of our teeth, I slung Kagari's bloody body around my shoulder and stood up.
静葉、急いでタイムマシンを停止させて偽装しろ。もうじき警察がここへ。
Of course they will.
もう遅いよ。
And of course it is. Should have made sure he was dead, Rintaro. Before I could open the door, a huge shadow appeared from within. Indeed. He wasn't dead. No kidding. But he must have taken a lot of damage to the head, because his face was the color of clay, and one of his eyes wasn't focusing.
すぐにここは戦場になる。
Indeed it will be.
アメリカもロシアも日本も動き出してしまった。
In other words, World War III has started to converge
一度
on
回り
this
出した
world
歯
line.
車はもう止められない。カガリがもっと早く我々に報告していれば、ここまで事態は悪化することもなかったもの。
Leskinen knew about Kagari. Of course he did, which meant that I was right. But Susaha spoke before I could.
そうか。お前が教授か。
Indeed, for 12 years here in the present he has kept Kagari Shina confined. But even before that,
かがりを洗脳したのはお前だな。
そうなんですか。
indeed it is.
あなたはそういう人だったんですか。
別にこの私が何かしたわけじゃない。
Leskinen didn't try to deny it.
むしろ10年ほど前、路頭に迷っていた彼女を助けてここまで育つよう援助してあげたんだよ。
援助って普通に生活してたら彼女がこんな風になるはずないじゃないか。
Ah, but there's more to the story, Rintaro. Much more.
そんなに怒鳴らないでくれないか。頭が割れそうに痛むんだ。嘘じゃない。彼女は自分の方から私に接触してきて、整形までしてこの町に潜り込んだのも彼女のプランだよ。何でも頭の中の神様が全て教えてくれるんですよ。
Of course
最
it
初
does.
私はホームレスの子供が食べ物欲しさにくだらない作り話をしているんだと思ったんだよね。彼女の脳や記憶を調べてみると非常に興味深く素晴らしいことが分かった。その神様というのはね、
And even as his face twisted in pain, he smiled proudly.
その神様というのはなんと未来の2036年の私だったんだよ。
So it is finally revealed. Of course we already knew this.
あんたは
We figured this out sooner.
本当のマッドサイエンティストだ。
A compliment coming from Ho in Kioma. Suddenly I heard a siren down below. Just hearing the sound made me feel uneasy. I'd never heard a sound like it before, but that sound is incredibly ominous. But, this is where we must part for now, adventurers, and when we return, it seems like, it is as Leskinen has said. It's all converging. Russia, America, Japan, and perhaps even the European Union. World War III is converging upon Akihabara. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.